Hail, you Warhammer players, and welcome to the Yawp, the definitive podcast for the Warhammer 40k enthusiasts in the inland northwest. Your hosts are me, Jeremy, all day 40k Nakano, and with me, of course, is Joey, Bettingfield, painting Bettingfield.
That's me.
Excellent. You can find us both here on TikTok, or here on the podcast, me on TikTok, and Joey on Instagram. Also, we have an Instagram for the Yawp podcast now, so please come check us out there. Other than that, no guests for you today. But what we are going to go ahead and go over is the normal stuff. I have been hobbying up a storm, specifically some Space Wolves. So I'm pretty excited about these guys here. So
yeah,
let me just show you.
Yeah.
So these are my boys. Obviously sticking with orange. I was really excited with this one. I really like how the glow is coming off. Like I mean, I put light on everything I do.
Yeah.
But I hate building and putting these models together in general because they're old and junky. I was actually really pleased with the face. I know it looks kind of goofy here, but like when you look at him normally, he's all right.
Yeah. I mean, nobody's seen it at that close on a table, you know? So
yeah, exactly. And then we have this one who, when I did this guy, when I got in on his face, he looks like Animal from Sesame Street. I'm very proud of it.
A little, sure. Yeah.
But he's got pupils now that are brown and not like a tiny black dot, so that helps a lot.
Yeah.
But painting the wolves themselves is weird. I'm not sure. I feel like I'm doing a lot of dry brushing, and then I'm like, oh god, it just looks so off and fade. I hate these models. I can't wait for new ones. Already.
Well, I think you're just not used to painting fur because man, wolves are fun. But anyway,
maybe, and I'll probably get better. I got 6 more to paint eventually. So, here is Arjak Rockfist, who I am super happy with his face and his beard. Like, there's so many colors in this beard. But overall, he looks dope. I kind of got a glowy effect going on with the mace. Not perfect, but stuff to build on.
Hey, we gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah, and then his retinue of Terminators, where like I just had a lot of fun with beards. I've been having so much fun with beards. Every Space Wolf I've built without helmet. I only with faces at this stage, and that's totally fine. But yeah, these guys have been a joy to paint. The shields in particular, I've been putting like a special amount of work in the lighting and the way that it all addresses. And I've been seeing some pretty good improvement there, and I'm pretty happy with them overall. Here is, of course, the guy with the big gun, and then here's the sergeant of the squad. And I put a lot of effort into this face, of course, making sure that we have, the eye glows up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I put a ton of work into this skull thing that's hanging on the cloak. Pretty proud of that because the blending I think is actually really solid, especially from 3 feet away. And then of course here's our last guy, and this is probably the one I feel like I did.
Look at this angry eyebrow man.
Yeah. They all have eyebrows, unlike a lot of Space Marines. So
yeah,
I appreciate them. It's been a real joy painting this stuff up. And I just have one of the squad of 3 wolves to do, and then 10 blood claws that I need to finish in like 9 days before my first game, which the blood claws will be super nice. Anyway, that's been all of my hobby stuff I've been doing. Have you been up to any hobbies, buddy?
It's looking great. No, I have not. Should I? Yes.
Always should.
I mean, yes, always should. Like, should or do hobby is a thing that should always happen, especially when there's, 300-ish points, give or take, that is going to need to be painted for LVO. But yeah, as of right now, I have not actually sat down and done anything yet. We'll get there.
Well, that's okay. Before we jump into your LVO list and whatnot, want to do some shout outs. So take us through the Pact Bound crew and what they managed to achieve this weekend.
Yeah, so the boys over at Pact Bound, which is my team down in Texas, they went to their semi-local GT this past weekend. So that's Wasteland Wars down in Lubbock, Texas. It's like 50-50-ish. Like half the team lives in and around Lubbock, and the other half lives in and around Abilene, just about 2.5 hours away. So a bunch of the guys went out there. I think we ended up, I say we, they ended up with 6 or 7, I believe, of the team, maybe more playing. We had my co-captain, Nicholas Henry, or Nick Ron, come in 4th place, losing in just the finals to obviously the guy that won. Fantastic showing from him. He did play on stream against one of our other team members. So you get to see a little bit of friendly fire bullying if you want to go watch the War Games Live was there and he streamed it. So if you want to go watch that, you can see a little bit of that happen. And then who was also on stream, one of our teammates, Richard Mendoza, ended up in 2nd place, going 5-1 as well with Tau. So very, very proud of him, obviously. Fantastic. Honestly, fantastic showing from everybody. I believe top 6, out of the top 6, 3 of them were pack bound.
Way to go, boys.
Which is great. Fantastic showing from everybody. Super proud of everybody. Our other team member, Taylor, who has a YouTube channel, over the Best Wargaming, he won Best Painted,
Let's go.
which
Let's
is
go.
also
Big award.
pretty sick.
Yeah. How many
Big
people
award.
are at the event?
Oh, golly. I believe over 40. I'm going to bring up ITC right now, and I'll tell you.
Sweet. And look, regardless of event size, when it comes down to it, a win is a win. And that's huge.
A win's a win.
Yeah. And it feels, I mean, I'm sure it feels great to come, within a hair's breadth of the victory.
Absolutely.
Really,
And especially,
job.
we have a thing that we do like kind of New Year's resolution-y things. Not resolutions, it's like goals, whether that be competitive or painting or whatever. We do like our individual goals for Warhammer for the year. And one of Ricky's like biggest goal, which is Richard, because he goes by Ricky, what his biggest goal was to top Wasteland Wars, and he got 2nd, which was fantastic. And then he also ended up on stream, which was like he didn't put it on his goals because he didn't think putting it on there was realistic, but he was like, it'd be super cool if I did it. And he did. He got both. So
For him.
amazing.
That's super cool. My team also had a pretty good little showing this weekend, although it was at a small local event. It was the Harvester Grand Tournament, which is a narrative GT. So first and foremost, big congratulations to Kirk for winning the whole thing's way to bring a mostly competitive list to a narrative event. Then we had Wyatt with best overall, which huge congratulations to Wyatt. That in one of his biggest things since he's painting was to compete for best overall, which great for him. And then of course Drew took best painted because of course he did with his incredible army. So really, really awesome job, everybody, and congratulations all around. Now, we didn't talk about this before, but it is something that I think I would like to have a discussion about, and that is for fun Warhammer. Scary mentioned this last time that we spoke, which he likes to do the Crusades because you're still playing all with normal Warhammer rules, normal Warhammer scoring for the most part, but you were faced with these very wacky situations. Now let me explain why this is an interesting topic to me. Number one, Harvester, the narrative GT, it's not just themed, right? We're not just talking about like, it's Imperium versus the Chaos or whatever else. Each table has its own very special set of rules. And they are not GW rules. They're very much completed or completely created from scratch, and they all score like wildly different. Like multiple undefeateds just means that they got, and the winner typically means they just had the friendlier board to score on when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Sadly, but that is the case. So Bob asked me, he said, hey buddy, why aren't you playing this weekend? And I said, because I hate fun. I don't necessarily enjoy the game when it's these weird and wacky rules. Now, some of the tables have been revamped a little bit, and I appreciate that he did that. But when it comes down to it, I practice and play the competitive version of Warhammer, and I love the competitive version of Warhammer. How do you feel about it?
Learned how to play the game as a way to have fun. The first event that I ever went to was a narrative event. So that is like my and I mean, I learned how to play from one of my best friends, and it's there were like three people in town for. I mean, I lived there for almost 6 years, and for like two of those that I knew how to play Warhammer, there were three, maybe four of us within 2 hours that played the game. And then for the last 3 years, it was just me and Phil, which is the guy that taught me how to play. And so like it was 100% my hobby. It was 100% for fun. I really didn't even know competitive was a thing for a while. And I spent most of my time watching nearly every battle report that existed at the time. And I mean, we were talking 2014, 2015. There wasn't a ton.
Yeah, well before battle reports were normal. It was like mini war
Yeah,
games, right?
we're talking beginning of mini wargaming, like producing battle reports kind of thing. Like, yeah, it was a different, very different time. But so like ingesting, ingesting, consuming all of the content that existed and like reading lore and playing video games and painting models and everything was like that's all I had. And so fun and narrative is 100% of like where I started, and I still love it. I still really enjoy doing it. And that was like I think one of the hardest things for me switching when I started playing competitively was to switch gears and go, I want to do well, which means I can't just bring the things that are cool.
Fair enough.
So, okay, so quick backtrack here. There were 48 people at Wasteland Wars. So they played 5 rounds. The top six, four of them are pack bound.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Way to
We
go,
had
Pac.
Ricky in second. Yeah. And then 4, 5, 6, and actually 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all pack bound.
Really good job.
So, yeah, they did great.
But yeah, so when it comes to fun, like I think next year I'll probably try to do Harvester just because I'm becoming more and more capable of making like of enjoying the game for more than just the competitive side. But I will say I would have never gotten into Warhammer were it not for there being a competitive scene.
And that's fair. Yeah, and I think that's true for a lot of people in it's so strange because normally when you hear this word, you're thinking about people in age groups. But in this like generation of Warhammer, I think that the majority of them are players because of tournaments and competitive scene.
Yeah. Yeah, it just brings I don't know, like there's just so much content on it, number one. And it scratches a very specific itch from a competitive standpoint. And we're gonna get
Uh-huh.
into that a little bit later in our topic. But before all of that, there's some new stuff to talk about.
There's
Like
some new stuff to talk about.
all kinds of new
And there's new stuff for both of us to talk about. How
Yeah.
crazy is that?
Yes, I am so excited that we're getting these loyalist Marine detachments. I forget both of their names, but the first one to talk about is, of course, the Raven Guard detachment, which is the -1 to hit and cover if you're outside of 12 inches shooting. And that was originally what people were playing with Uriel Ventress and why I own 6 Devastating
Mm-hmm.
Centurions and the Uppy Downy with them. It was just a joy to play, to put on the table, and it was super fun. Now, with the new detachment, I think they have the enhancements were improved to some degree, and they have an extra reactive move, um, which
Yep.
feels good. And you could, and you're
Which
not,
I think was at the cost of losing the weird bomb thing,
yeah. Which
which is fine.
the weird bomb thing is one of the best strats in the game.
It was very good.
It's so good. It's still so good because you can't play that obviously as anyone but a Raven Guard detachment or a Raven Guard player, which is totally fine. I'm for it because Vanguard is still fun to play and still good. But the the new one just gives you a little bit more, and I'm excited to see people play. And the real silver lining behind it is that you're not beholden to playing Ultramarine characters. And as long as you're not beholden to playing Ultramarine characters, you get to add 400, 500 points of stuff to your list.
Right. And more silver lining, you get to play probably the most gorgeous Space Marine model they've ever made.
Correct. Avon or Athan or whatever his name is. Man with claws and
Man with
ribbons.
claws and clawed toes and ribbons.
Yeah, he just looks incredible. Very excited
So good.
to get that model and get him painted up eventually. So I can't wait to see how that goes. But the other one, and this is the one that I'm actually more excited about, which is the Imperial Fist First Company remake. I think it's like Emperor's Shield or something like that. And this one is so much more fun. Number one, the detachment rule is now into your oath target. You have reroll hits and reroll ones to wound. Is it great? No. Reroll ones to wound is really good.
It is.
But as a Space Marine player and having played enough Space Marines at this point, you don't need the additional wound reroll because you already have +1 to wound. So it just protects against some like flubbing that could happen with like characters and stuff. But because you have to play Imperial Fist, that means you're the only real characters you have access to is gonna be like Darnith Alexander as well as Tor Garradon. So it's less impactful. Is it good? Yes, but like if you oath the target, that target almost always anyway super died. So there's that. The other bits of it is they removed all of this janky stuff that was battle shock tests, remove model enhancement. Like they got rid of that. And they replaced them just with two bangers. Number one, just like reborn character reborn. Always good. On a 2-up, which is really nice.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always nice.
Super, super happy with that enhancement because then you could stick that on the Judiciar. And he can't get taken
Stop.
out. And then you also have shit, I forgot the other one. It's all right. But it's good. And then they kept the other two, which are your character that you put it on gets an additional hit, and then once per game the whole squad gets an additional attack, which is really
Okay.
nice. Like,
Yeah.
and then the other one that they kept was the OC version, where the character gets an additional OC, and then once per game you get to give all of the models inside the unit an additional OC. Which, after
Cool.
playing like a bunch of Wrath of the Rock, that is one of my favorite things that I have access
Yeah.
to in that detachment. So it's a really cool ad. Is it once per game? Yes. I kind of hate that. Most once per game rules I don't really like, just because I feel like they have to be so much more impactful than just an extra attack or just an extra OC to justify or to warrant that once per game. Now, the biggest things about the detachment stratagems is that they lost the -1 damage in the fight phase, which to me almost made me consider taking First Company alone, specifically for that one thing, because it just made you super defensive, especially with Terminators. It did keep the terms and conditions of Blade Guard, Vanguard vets, Stern Guard veterans, and Terminators as like the only units that can really accept all of this stratagem suite. Um, except for Armor of Contempt. Obviously, that's always going to be for everybody. The pick up a unit at the bottom of your fight phase, or yeah, at the bottom of your fight phase is Terminator specific, and then the rest are all the veterans effectively plus Terminators. There's one really cool one that's okay, which is like +1 to hit and wound.
Okay.
If you're below strength, it used to be +1 to hit, and then if you are below half strength, +1 to wound, like that terrible army rule. But now it's just as long as you're less than, you're okay. So is it a really good stratagem or a really good detachment? No. But it is a fun playable detachment. That's all I really want, is to be able to put 20 Terminators on the board and just kind of be a tough idiot Space Marine player sometimes. And this
Right.
detachment lets me do that. So super excited about both of them.
Yeah. It'll be cool. Um, it's it's nice to see them actually making an attempt of bringing the chapters back.
Yeah.
So that's, I think that opens up, not, I mean, not really think, it opens up an enormous amount of design space, whether or not they actually choose to take advantage of that in, the last year of this edition, we'll see. But it
Yeah.
is cool.
We'll see.
Yeah. So the other thing, my turn. I'm finally getting a codex. So Dracari got announced. We saw the cover of the codex. Um, we obviously the army box and the combat patrol, and then we got two new models in Malice, who is the Archon, a named character in the lore.
Is that Shadowheart?
I guess, yeah, Shadowheart,
Gotcha.
as most of the internet has called her. Yeah, it's pretty. It's
It's
pretty.
uncanny.
fairly blatant. She's a pretty awesome character just from a lore standpoint. She's fucking sick. Very excited for her to be back. She's existed before. She was in, I think, the 6th edition codex. She didn't have a model. That was a normal thing for Drukhari. There was 5 or 6 different characters that just didn't have models, but they had rules. She was one of them. But they've, as over time, they've like kind of kept her rules around. So we'll see what she actually does. I'm pretty excited. She should be awesome.
Hmm.
Um, and then we just got a new Archon model, which is cool because our current Archon model is monopose. And so, if nothing else, we have an Archon that has actual bit options for building, which is fantastic.
Great. How's the like the actual boxes?
So the army box, if you are starting the army, I think is fantastic. The combat patrol has implications that I care about far more than I care about the actual models in it. So the combat patrol is also still fantastic value. It's 10 racks, a Talos, a Kronos, and a Homunculus.
It's a super thick box, like for Drukhari, right?
Yes, but it's also 100% Homunculus Coven, which tells me that we will get a Homunculus Coven detachment, which is super exciting.
What makes a homunculus coven detachment like?
That's the so Drukhari is kind of split into 3 like sub factions, right? You've got your Cabalite, your warrior stuff. So that's the regular warriors, the Archons, the Raiders and Ravagers and things like that. And then
Which
you
is
have your Witch Cult, which is your Succubus, Lilith, Witches, Bikes, Hellions, and then you have the Homunculus Coven, which is all like the monster stuff. So it's the Homunculus, the Grotesques, the Talos, the Kronos, all of that kind of stuff. Urian.
yeah. Okay.
So that's really exciting. Homunculus Covens in the past have kind of just been like Drukhari, like 8th edition Homunculus was like just Drukhari's version of GSC Muscle Beach, kind of,
Right.
which is cool. I really like. I like the models, and I'm excited for them to be pushing that direction. They said the Codex has 5 detachments,
Cool.
so
You're gonna have
I'm
6.
assuming I'm assuming that Grotmus detachment doesn't make it into the Codex; that it's a separate thing.
Yeah, that'd be wild if it did.
Which means that it's going to be Real Space Raiders, which we have, Sky Splinter, which is the other one, and then it should be a Homunculus Coven, a Witch Cult, and then one effectively Cabal, which is all your warrior stuff because it should be built from Malice.
So that all sounds badass. I do have an interesting note to make about the anatomy of Drukhari female. They don't have any hips.
They don't have hips.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this model of Shadowheart here, and I'm very confused as to how her body physically functions.
Well, she's an elf. What do you
It's
want?
fine. I understand waists are gonna be tiny. I get that. But like you can't even hide behind the armor the lack of skeletal structure around her waist. The
Yeah,
dudes, if you were to compare the dude elves, they're rocking a badonkadonk compared to this.
but yeah, the dude elves are thick, man.
Like real thick ass boys, and then this
Yeah,
girl, she is a stick with hair. That's fascinating. Anyway, I just had to make that note.
no, that's fair. Her model's absolutely gorgeous, though.
It's so good. Like it's so good. I'm so happy to see like cool new Drukhari stuff. Like every time I see sad you know resin models that people still have to put on the table.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
with Codex comes sacrifices. What's going away? What do you think?
Well, as we let's start with the elephant, right? As we talked about before we started recording, um, I'm gonna lose my beast pack, man.
It's going away for sure, dude. There's no way you can
It's
keep
going away
that.
for sure. There's no way we're keeping that thing, man. There's no way.
Get that fine cast out of here.
If we keep it, I will be shocked.
It's been the thing that's helped you help this faction win games for a while.
Yeah, I'll like if we keep it, the episode that we record after it's confirmed that the beast pack will continue to exist will begin with me screaming. There's no it's not gonna happen. We're losing him, and that makes me very sad. But we're losing him. contents of the combat patrol gives me faith that we are not losing grotesques and that we will get a new box for them. Hopefully, a box of 3,
Hopefully.
since they come in units of 3.
Well, sometimes they stick to that logic.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But let's see what else. What else do I think we're gonna? I think it's highly possible that we lose Urian,
Whoa,
the named homunculus.
he's getting a detachment.
Homunculus is getting a detachment. Homunculus covens are getting a detachment. Does not mean that Urian.
Lame. But is he fine cast?
He is fine
Well,
cast.
he's gone. Got it.
Well, I mean, grotesques are fine cast, but I don't think we're gonna lose them.
That's okay. That's fair.
We're gonna lose the Court of the Archon, I bet. We might not. We could. They could redo that.
I mean, that kid doesn't exist anywhere.
Nowhere.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, and neither does the Beast Pack. That's part of the problem.
Right.
The difference, I think, is that the Court is a little bit more, I don't know, in the forefront of like the lore. Like it is
True.
a thing that actually exists commonly. Beast Packs are a little bit more, I don't know,
Tucked away.
bespoke,
Yeah.
I guess. That really, I think that's probably it.
Okay.
I think for sure we lose Beast Pack. And then I'm like, I'm gonna go with a solid 75% that we lose Urian. And then I think Court of the Archon is like a 50-50.
Okay. I hope we don't lose court. It's just such a good unit.
I agree. I do hope that we don't lose it. There's a lot of things, not a lot. There's a hand, yes, a lot. There's a lot of things that I want to see change. They are one of them. So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, when we get closer to the release, and hopefully we get a few more sneak peeks, we'll be able to do a lot more detail as we jump in.
But yeah, a ton more. Well, because right now they haven't even actually said when it's going on pre-order. This is just the announcement. So theoretically, next week we should get the announcement that it goes on pre-order 2 weeks from that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I believe. Like we don't even know the army rule. All they said that it changed, but that's who knows.
Well, my hopes is that you don't get the Grey Knight treatment. You're already one-upping me by getting new units, but hopefully you get to keep some of the good stuff too.
It's true. My two, I get 2 new units, and they're not a sprue. They're new units.
You know what? Fuck you.
They're new boxes, and I think it's actually I appreciate, which I don't think that they've ever done something like that. But I think it's important to note that if you look at them, because they're both standing on rocks, they're standing on rocks in different directions, so it has to be 2 different boxes
Which ones?
for Malice and then the new Archon.
Oh yeah, one
So
has their right
it's
leg,
not
one
going to
has their
be
left leg.
yeah, so it's not going to be Malice's buildable out of an Archon.
Yeah,
It'll be Malice, and then there will also be an Archon kit. So
that's good. I'm glad. That's awesome. Hopefully that's the case.
I'm very excited.
All right, time for the last new thing to talk about, which sucks the most.
I don't
This
want to.
this night meta has been truly atrocious, and I think all of the answers have been answered at this stage as to why they held back on this codex for so long. This shit's broken. They screwed up. This is such an overtuned codex. And what I would recommend everybody go do is that you just go listen to people read the codex. Now, there's 2 hard opinions on it. Number one, you can go listen to the Adam Camilleri version where he breaks it down. Very biased, in my opinion, because he's a Knights player currently, and he's trying to be as like reserved about it as he can, but you can tell how excited he is about it. Their only reservation is that the army rule is more of a win more mechanic than anything else, but you get to choose reroll 1 hit, reroll 1 wound. Now, for everybody, so you remember, Imperial Knights went from like a 30% win rate to a 50% win rate after that one change. So, did they lose the 6-up Feel No Pain? Yes. There's like a stratagem that can do that now. In 1 of 4 detachments, 1 of which is broken, 3 of which are playable. So cool. There's that. And then the other one that I would recommend you check out is, of course, Fireside 40K, where David and I forgot. Anyway, they go through and they always have like the hard knee jerk reaction of like, man,
Yeah.
We've always been Knights players because it's so good. Now, what makes it good is there's a bunch of little things like stratagems that target a multitude of models, like
Mhm.
three models as long as they're all within 9 inches of each other. Come on, the base is that big, like please. You have access to aura based 4-up field vaults. Love that, and also access to like +3 to move for 3 knights on turn 1. And with the rules the way they are, means that you will lose half of your army on turn 1 unless it's a very small army that you can totally hide. So it's gross, but that's where we're at with knights. I'm not going to get into
Fair and
details.
balanced.
I don't know enough about the details, but what I do know
Yeah.
is what I've seen, and there's some busted shit happening. So, what do you think? Or what do you hope for when the data slate hits to help try to minimize the impact of this codex, which is
I
the
think
20?
it's gonna have to be points, right? Like if they already answered the feel no pain, like having a feel no pain as a stratagem is fine. Removing the feel no pain from the army rule is, step one. Yeah, it's just gonna have to be points. Like there's if they can still put 5 big knights on a table, it's gonna be a problem.
Huge problem. I think they should just roll back
Now,
all the fixes in the data slate.
maybe. Admittedly have not looked at the codex at all, so I don't know. So my like opinions and whatnot right now are kind of non-existent. But just from the handful of things that I have heard, it does obviously seem very very strong, which they already are. So that's obviously super fun to see.
Yeah, I hope they don't attack their points too hard. Some changes I
Yeah,
agree are necessary. My hope is that they roll back some of the stuff that they did that they just super fucked up on. So, if I were to say like the things that they definitely should do, roll back shoot in action. I can't stand that that's a fucking thing. It allows you to take 5 knights and be cool about it. Like there needs to be a tax to bringing something that big with that many wounds and that high of a defense. Like especially with access to all the invulns.
yeah, that's fair.
That's like number one. Number two, it would be to increase the chance of being battle shocked if you run through walls without using some detachment or stratagem. So
Right, instead of just on a one.
instead of just on a one, make it like, I don't know, a one or a two. Do that. And like, at least then you're not completely like, yeah, it's harsh, but the meta as it's been has just been gross. Like, fighting knights is literally impossible for some factions. So yeah, those are the two biggest things. Like,
That's
oh,
fair.
just roll back some of the buffs that they gave knights in general, because both the codexes are very strong, so they don't need all this additional crap. So let's roll them back a little bit. Is all I ask, rather than
I think
keeping
that's
them from putting a bunch of stuff on the table.
right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty level-headed.
Trying to be cool about it, but I'm also all right. Speaking of being cool and not cool, let's get into the main content for the week, which is it's just more competitive mindset. Um, and this might feel lazy because this is what we talk about, but it's what we do often. It's our thing. So let's talk about the fact that sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down.
Hey, sometimes you're down.
It's if you've played a competitive game, whether it is a video game, like most of us have played StarCraft because we're all old men here, or we have played League of Legends also because we're all old men here, or we have played like actively rated in World of Warcraft or something along those lines, where we have been involved in a video game where they're constantly balancing and changing things. And sometimes Lee Sin is busted. And other times, siege tanks are just way too good. And then also, sometimes Warrior Fury, Two Handed Fury is also really incredible. And it's the same thing for Warhammer. It's just on a shorter cadence of changing. So yeah, overall, I think that the game is fairly well balanced. There are dips sometimes that are just
Mhm.
like very hard to deal with. Specifically, this meta as of recent has been kind of in that space. But we're already seeing like the weekend, like after all the point adjustments, I think there's been some abandonment to a degree, but we're still seeing like 9% of the population still playing Death Guard, which is pretty good because Virulent Victorum is scary.
Mhm.
So is Champions of Contagion. And we're seeing a ton of knight players, and mostly because most people have a knight army because they're easy to put together. So yeah,
Yeah. No, that's fair. And that's kind of just like that's where we're at right now, and it'll change. it will get a data slate eventually, with any luck, this week,
with any luck.
maybe next.
If it doesn't hit by the end of this week, I'm gonna be sad.
Yeah, yeah, I'll cry maybe.
A little bit, because
uh,
this will be the LVO meta, right?
I believe they did send out an email. I can actually check that they did give us the rules cutoff. Click open. Show me the bam. Rules cutoff is the 20.
Okay. So we either get new rules on the 11th.
Unfortunately, it's probably the 18th because the Night Codex comes out on the 20th.
That makes a lot of sense. Yep, you're right.
So they'll put it in because the data slate hits on Thursday, and then Saturday you get your codex.
I wonder if it's gonna be, jumping for joy or a huge miss because the nerfs are so drastic in the data slate. I'm curious to see how that.
Yeah, it feels, if history is anything to say, it's going to be like, my fear is that it's going to be way too drastic or effectively nothing.
Yeah, that's more or less how the point nerf felt so far. Is that it's been effectively nothing.
Well, and that was just a emergency thing. That wasn't a full. I don't know. And maybe they do it this week. Maybe we get it on the 11th, because like the last one, when we got the last data slate and we got the MFM, it had like whatever I don't remember what codex was out or was coming out, but it had the index rule or the index points and the codex points, and it said that the codex points weren't legal yet.
Okay.
And then when the next week when the codex came out, they just removed the index points from the MF.
Well, I hope for the sake of everybody attending LVO, considering it is now a GW event effectively, that they release rules on the 11th, because giving people 2 days to compose a list is shitty.
Yeah, I was like, for planning purposes, I really hope that they come out with it on the 11th, because it's rules cutoff is 27th, list submission deadline is the 29th.
Okay.
So literally 2 days.
Wow. All right. Well,
So yeah, hopefully it's the 11th.
I guess we'll see. But yeah, 11th would give people time to like actually test, which is nice. But considering it is one of their events, they're more likely to do something positive for them. For years, they wouldn't do it when it was an FLG event. They would like continue, and every WTC they put them into like a horrible mess. So there's that, which is terrible. But yeah, it's interesting when they choose to make these choices. So tinfoil hat off, I guess.
So yeah, really, 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 really hoping that it's this week.
Same. Speaking of being up and down, or in general, guys, if you're gonna try to play Warhammer competitively, you gotta pay to play.
Unfortunately,
Warhammer is an expensive game. If you
it
want
is.
to be the top of the meta, you do not necessarily need to like buy every army that's good when it's good. You could be very good at the game and have enough, faction expertise or units in that faction so that you can make the list that you want to make. Which, from like, personal experience, I have enough Space Marine stuff to where I can kind of get together any Marine army I want for the most part. If we're talking like Ultramarine and Dark Angels currently, which Space Wolves are on the way, and then everything else will eventually cascade down. I have most of the models; they're just in boxes, or half painted. So that's one piece of it, but another piece like processing multiple armies, right? Like how important is that? What do you think?
I think it's huge for a multitude of reasons. It's you're looking at not only knowing what your army does and what your units are capable of, but knowing what your opponent's army does and what their units are capable of, so that like, how afraid of it should you actually be? What do you need to allocate into it to kill it, or can you just kind of tie it up so it doesn't do anything? How do you play against it? And it helps you to not get cheated if you know what your opponent's army does, and they go, oh, okay, well, I'm going to do this, and this thing has sustained 3, and you're like, no, it
No, it
doesn't.
doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And that's Yeah, I think it's huge to know that. It's the same if we go back, right? It's the same concept. I think League of Legends is probably one of the better examples. As horrendous as that community is, the game is good. You can't just know your character, right? You have to know what all of the other characters do, and that's why it takes so long to get good at that game. Because there's whatever 50 different characters, and you need to be more than familiar with all of them. And it's similar. You don't have to do that with space with 40K. Obviously, you don't have to be familiar 100% with every single army, right? But having a general familiarity, just a general idea of what things do is important. And I think that if you do want to compete at a high level, then it will become more necessary the higher that level that you want it to be.
Yeah. And more than like, not necessarily more, but on the same line, your game fundamentals need to be like stellar if you want to be good at the game, regardless of dips with your stuff. So, were we to take it into consideration, if you don't understand fight phase movement well, you will not lose. You will
Mm-hmm.
not win very many games, and that
Nope,
starts in the charge phase. Knowing where
it
to
does.
put model. Same thing goes for being able to, like, thinking of the biggest consideration that has gotten me frequently is not having any guns drawn on the center and then somebody rapid ingressing on turn 3 in a position where I can't put guns on them. Like, that's happened to me multiple times and has lost me multiple tournament games. And, like, that's a fundamental. That is a key fundamental that you need to be very well aware of. Or just utilizing rules that everybody abuses, like rapid ingress. Rapid ingress is an incredibly powerful rule that you should be, if you have any access to anything, you should be abusing. Know the
Yeah,
rules.
I mean, I think it's yeah. You have to know. I think that that is more important is getting your fundamentals down and getting those little like interactions that if you don't know them or you play against somebody who doesn't know them or fully understand how to do it, they feel like tricks and they feel like gotchas and they're not. It's just understanding the way that the rules work and taking advantage of that. I think that that is what you should do first because if you can do that, then you're just going to chain you're going to be adding army rules and learning how each army does that thing because fundamentally everyone has to do it. You have to play the game. So if you are, hyper confident with that, then learning new armies becomes easier because you don't have to consider those things when you're playing it.
Right. Absolutely. Now, let's talk about the qualities of a player who, isn't very good. And then it starts and it's based in being obstinate or stubborn about
Mm-hmm.
everything in the game. And the biggest thing is unit choices. And that's why we started with the fact that, you kind of have to pay to play. If you play units and you think that they should be good because it says it in the lore or because that's what you have,
Yeah.
you're not going to win a lot of games.
Right.
That is a
Yeah.
very unhealthy approach to the game.
It is. I mean, I've met I and have known played with multiple people over the years that were 100% adamant that like I will not play this unit because it's one of the best units and everyone uses it. I'm like, okay, cool. Enjoy losing, I guess. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, going non-meta for the because other people are playing it because it's competitive is
Right.
ridiculous.
Yes. For like, I understand it obviously from a point of like, yeah, I'm not going to go buy a new army, right? But if it's like you, for example, you've got however many, thousands and thousands of points of Space Marines, and if we went we go back to a meta where we go, hey, Eradicators are the best unit in the Codex.
I got some.
Then you're not just going to go, okay, well, I'm not going to play Eradicators now. Like that's crazy.
I'm going to jam every eradicator I can into a list.
Right. Now, nobody's saying that you have to play 18, but that doesn't mean that you can't play any. So, yeah, it's so there's like that side of it and then there's the side of it of like I play the no, it doesn't exist, but like I play a Thunderfire cannon because I think they're cool. Okay.
Congratulations.
There's a there's a certain level of that that you can do and you can get away with, but that comes from faction like speciality. And you're still not like even in that instance, there's only so much of that you can get away with.
Yeah.
So
These players also exhibit, the counter to what we were saying before, which is they don't stay up on the game as well. They get into their army. They're like, yeah, it does this and that's and this is cool. And do you understand the rules of how they work within the context of the rules? And that's when you're going to get Thunderfire cannon players or somebody who's bringing full rim or whatever
mhm,
because it's supposed to be that way or whatever. Like, and this it sounds like me just shitting on narrative players, but it goes for the old heads too, who are just like, this is how it's supposed to be played. Like, nah, no, 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 no. It's a competitive game and it's moving all the time. And if you don't understand your army's rules and how they interact with the rest of the game and other armies, then you're in for a very hard surprise.
yeah, that's it. And there's so much of it staying up on the game, and I think we didn't put it on here, but I think it's another part of it too is on the being down side of things is being like so stuck and so obstinate in your army and your units and your thing that you like emotionally can't see past your nerfs or the reasons for your nerfs and then get upset when like other armies have the thing that you used to have. I've played against that person. Like I played against a guy in Dallas 2 years ago. I was playing Green Tide before any changes. So Codex released Green Tide. He was playing Eldar and he was legitimately upset. Like a 20-minute conversation that he was upset because I could reroll ones on my armor save. And he was like, "Oh, well, how come you get to reroll ones on your armor save, but I don't get to do this, and I don't get to do this, and this isn't okay?" And I'm like, "Dog, I have at best, a 5-up save. That's why it's okay.
Right.
Like, a 5-up rerolling ones is still not a
It's still a five
50%.
up.
Like, it's still not 50%. It's still worse than a 4-up save. Most of your army has a 3-up. That's why. And, like, just being so, like, headstrong and stuck in that mindset is going to keep you down.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on top of that, if you're that guy who had that fifth edition list that kicked everyone's ass because fifth edition was a stupid edition, sorry, not sorry, then and you still continue to play that fifth edition list today and you're complaining because it's not just running people over on the table anymore, you gotta adapt. You have to
That's it.
change
You have to.
because it's a competitive game where the competitive rules change all the time. So let's talk about trying to pull some of these more stubborn players out of the muck that they might be in. What are the healthy ways to go about approaching the meta in a way that doesn't feel like you're just truly chasing?
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing that we have, I was trying to figure out the direction that I wanted to go on this. So the first thing that we have here is the value hunting in your own codex, right? So looking for the things in the army that you are playing that are good for whatever thing, right? That doesn't mean 100% just things that are killy. It can be things that are fast and things that score and things that just do something well, right? Just the things that are efficient at what they are made to do. Finding those things inside of I think is like the big thing. Sometimes I don't think that that the game exists in this state anymore. But if we look at like 10th edition release Grey Knights, where you look at Grey Knights and essentially they go, well, hey, we have no damage. Like, I can't kill anything. Great. So then now we're going to play different. And I'm just not going to care about killing things. And you pivot. And while unfortunately, I personally find that to be a highly boring way to play the game, to be fix secondaries and just not interact with your opponent. I think that's super boring. That's not the case for everybody. But it's just if you want to play competitively and you want to win games, competitive games at tournaments, like sometimes you're just going to have to accept that, especially when value hunting, sometimes it's not a unit, it's the way that your army plays. And sometimes that might not be fun, but if you want to win, that's what's going to happen. And I also think it's important because I've done it. This just might not be the addition for that army for you.
It happens.
Now, not everybody has that luxury, right? Some people are priced out of the game and they have one army and that's their only choice. And if that's you, I sincerely apologize. That sucks.
Yeah,
But
it's the worst, but it is what it
if
is.
you have more than one army, then maybe you go, okay, it's time for Granites to sit on the shelf for a minute. They don't do what I want them to do right now, which is, the boat that I ended up in for Tau as much as I wanted to, and as much as I tried, and as much as I tried everything. Tau, this edition, does not play the game the way that I want to. So instead of trying to force it, you just don't play them. You just find something else.
Yeah. And then just to clear anything up, guys, Grey Knights have tons of damage. You just got to find it.
They do.
Tons of
You just have to find it. But they didn't. This is Index release of 10th edition that I'm talking about.
That's true. That's true. And they made changes to help things out, but even then,
Yes.
you've never really had a lot of damage for a long time. Now the next big part of not necessarily meta chasing, but getting better, it really and your mindset towards the game is to find the game's base rules that work to your advantage with your army. There's so much stuff that you can do to abuse mechanics that your army is capable of abusing. And that comes down to okay, I need to learn how to set up traps with heroic intervention. A fight's first trap is one of the most important things that you can set against a melee pressure army.
Yep.
You don't know
Or
how to set the trap. Yeah.
just having, just a unit in place that will be able to heroic intervene to stop someone from charging and killing a unit that you don't want dead right now. Yeah, that's little things like that. And that goes back to the fundamentals, right? That's having the ability to see those things and kind of forecast that that's what's going to happen and set up to mitigate if it does, or at least try and ward off somebody from wanting to do it.
Yep. And
So,
then
yeah,
the last big point for you know, hunting for those good things, it's detachments. There's so many detachments in the game now. They're all easier to grasp and to pick up and to understand. And because of that, if you take the time to play and to learn how to master the right one, man, the things that you can accomplish. For example, if I had spent more time mastering Gladius Task Force at the beginning of the edition,
no, no, no. No, no. If you had stayed with Wrath of the Rock, we can't leave this now. It's
fine,
too established.
you're right. If I had stayed with Wrath of the Rock for Tacoma, I probably would have had a much better record because nobody was expecting it, and I know how to play it, and I
Exactly.
put a ton of
And
games
you knew
into
it.
it.
And that's it, right? It's things like that. I mean, let's look at Chansey, I think is a great example. That he is asked, I mean, he asks pretty constantly. That's not a bad thing. Ask for advice and get advice. But we talk about various Tyranid things, but just because a detachment is considered the best doesn't mean that that's what you have to play, right? Especially for him, the way that he plays the game and the way that he thinks about the game, the way that it triggers in his head, the tunnel Tyranid thing isn't fantastic for him because that's just not the way that he thinks about the game. And he plays Vanguard. And whenever he posts a list, a lot of people will say, oh, well, why are you playing Vanguard? Why are you playing this unit? Why are you playing that unit? But it works for him because that's the way that he plays the game.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
I think some of it,
good.
he embraced his limitations. He only had
Yes.
X number of units and wasn't over investing in Warhammer to the point where he needed to buy all this extra stuff. And so he really is a far reaching example of someone who just takes a look at what he has and makes good
Yep.
choices.
Yeah.
So I think a really good way that we can kind of help relay the experience of armies going up and down from a perspective standpoint is to look at Eldari since they're codex hit. Codex release Eldari was busted. Not quite as busted as edition release Eldari, but
Ooh,
broken
yeah.
no less.
Not quite. Not quite. But Still broken.
but still very broken. Like the codex was great, everybody was super excited about everything, but specifically, um, you know, at that time, all these Eldori mains popped up out of nowhere. Oh, I've been playing Eldari my whole life. Yeah, okay. And was that a unpainted Inari? What's the character? What's her name?
Which one? Yvrain? The girl?
Yvrain. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, cat lady.
Is that an unpainted Yvrain you got there? How long you been playing elves? Anyway, so they were hype and they were so good, but like only the really good players were like really, really running away with them. But everybody was getting caught in the Inari trap at the beginning
Hmm.
of the beginning of the codex when it was hit, and then it got nerfed. And what happened, Joey?
Are we talking about the Yanari nerf?
Yeah,
Because technically, the Codex came out
when they hit
and everybody was
Eldrad.
playing Aspect Host.
That's
Do
true.
what?
And then they hit Eldrad, right? For
Yeah. So everybody was playing Aspect Host. Aspect Host got hit, and then everybody went. Which, to be fair, the like actual professionals were already playing Yanari,
right.
but then people went, "Oh shit, this is crazy. This detachment's insane." They started playing that. So then Yanari got
Killed.
murdered.
Like you saw fire dragons go up. You saw all
Yeah,
these like
we
really good
saw.
models go up.
I mean, we saw the effectively the triple nerf, right? Like we saw points increases, we saw
Attachment
detachment changes,
changes.
we saw stratagem changes, and we saw unit rule changes. Murdered, just real bad. Haven't seen Yanari since. There's really no point in playing Yanari over playing a different attachment.
And then once that broken shit was removed or applied, everybody abandoned the faction, right?
Yep,
It's been gone.
yep,
There have been zero changes to Eldari since, right? Almost
yep.
nothing has
Yeah,
changed about Eldari.
almost nothing. Yeah,
Yet here comes the Death Guard and Knight meta. And all it took was a few of the professionals to take a look at the codex and say, actually, this army is broken. I remember Harpster coming in and on one of the Art of War episodes being like, guys, Eldari is busted. They talked about his list, talked about let's make use of swooping hawks. Let's look at what fire dragons can do. And it's just the normal Eldari stuff. Shoot and jump back into move fast and do a bunch of dev wounds out of nowhere, like without changes to the army that was quote unquote dead. It is back and it is absurdly busted because what fire dragons can do with transports hurts to deal with, no matter the army. I'm lucky in the sense that I play Wrath of the Rock mostly these days because I kind of punch elves in the face. But when it comes down to it, they're great. Like, it's a great faction to play. A little broken right now, but they're great.
yeah. I think it's one of those weird ones where like I'm still not sure that I want to say, not even not sure. I am sure I don't want to say broken because they do still, not still, they require again on release, they did not require, but they currently require a higher level of understanding of the game
That is true.
than the average army. You can just try like picking up Eldari as a newer player or whatever, you can lose the game for yourself. That's elves. Like you can just move wrong and lose. So
Yeah.
um but yes, obviously in the hands of people like Harpster, yeah, they're gonna look real broken.
Yeah. The players who know how to play Eldari are just going to be good, especially right now, because the meta is huge stuff or really tough things that have lots of wounds, and 25 fire dragons just delete that stuff.
Kind of does it.
When it comes down to it, the game is it's movement speed and knowing what profiles go into which, and then just move, not speed but movement, knowing how to move stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
movement efficiency.
movement efficiency. That's a better term for it. Thank you. And so that brings me to this point, which is the lack of perfection in the game is what makes the game fun.
Right.
And the
Yeah.
sooner everybody takes a moment to realize that and stop freaking out about stuff. Look, I've been that person a lot. Like I was that person earlier in this episode. We're talking about how knights are busted. But you know what? It's like Before, it would just throw me into a complete, out of this world crazy town. And now I just kind of accept, like, all right, what do I do to deal with it? And that feels so much better as a player.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, which is just like that's it, right? Like, and it's comes down to, for example, right? We don't need to go into crazy detail about it. One, for time, and two, we can do it later. I'm trying to finish and optimize my list for LVO. And so I had a practice game today, and then there were some changes that I saw that I needed to make and that I wanted to make. And so I've changed some stuff. And then now it's like looking at the list and going, okay, I have a lot of anti vehicle. Is it too much? Meaning, if I run into like elite infantry, do I have enough infantry killing still? Right now, I'm not 100% sure. And that's something that I have to figure out. Right. And then I go, well, if I drop this unit, that's a huge anti tank threat gone. Well, then what do I? It's trying to find that balance of where is this meta exactly going to hit. I mean, I'm not really going to have that answer until we get the data slate, but that's where I'm at right now.
And you know what? I guess we're just gonna see what happens. And that's what makes this game awesome. I remember a buddy of mine when I was first getting into it told me that competitively Warhammer isn't a very good game because of its lack of balance, unlike a game like chess, which is quote unquote perfectly competitive. The more I think about it, the less I feel that he's right. Chess, yes, is objectively one of the most competitive games ever created, but there's no variance. There's no X factor. In all of the great sports, there's lots of different X factors. And in Warhammer, the dice is the X factor. And sometimes your dice are going to suck. Sometimes you're not even going to have to try to win the game. Sometimes you just win based on luck.
Right.
Most of the time, it's pretty
Sometimes,
balanced.
sometimes you put 4 Dark Lance wounds into an orc truck and they make 3 out of 4 6-up invuls and you roll a 1 on damage. You know?
Sometimes that happens.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah. Sometimes 10 fire dragons plus Fuegan put all of their stuff with sustained one into a group of Deathwing Knights and kill one of them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens.
Should it? No.
No. But that's what
But
makes this a genuinely fun competitive game.
right. And it's things like that. That example was from a game that happened today. Sometimes that happens, right? And it does suck, and it does. That game was with Dale, and afterwards, he apologized because he was like, "Yeah, I'm really really sorry that the game went like that, and that your rolls were that bad." And I was like, "Dude, don't apologize. Like that's how it goes. It goes like that sometimes. Like we can't control that. I'm not. The game was still great. Still had a great time. Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
So
The sooner that you as a player get emotionally invested in a healthy way, the
mhm.
better off you're going to be. Like there are those look, maybe you play Imperial Agents. Maybe you can't afford to keep up with the game. Maybe you're one of
Well,
those
I think if
people
you
who've been
play Imperial Agents, you can afford to keep up with the game. Those two are not the same person.
it's true. Maybe you still don't have a codex. Like you're still waiting, like Drukari. Maybe your range is tiny. Maybe you play Grey Knights and you don't have access to like a bunch of really cool stuff, which you actually do. Just look. You have to accept things as they are in order to happily enjoy the game and to be better and to be a better and to be a good competitor in general.
Yep. Yeah.
Because if you don't, you can't move forward.
No, not at all.
And
And
go ahead.
no, no, yeah, moving forward, yeah, you have to be able to, yeah, just accept those things of sometimes, and I think that it does matter. We talk about like faction rankings and regional rankings and things. Sometimes being let's say you play Imperial Agents, that's all you have, and that's all you want to play. Then maybe it's not realistic for you to think about being one of the best players in the world. But you can shift and you can be the best Imperial Agents player.
That's not even that hard.
Well, sure. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like you just change your outlook based off of what is, realistic of, okay, this is not a thing, whatever army it is, I do not have the ability to kill knights or death guard. So therefore, statistically, I will not win large events. I probably won't top them.
But you can go
Okay.
4-2, 5 and
Right.
1.
But you can go 4-2. You can maybe go 5-1 and really throw some people off. You can just be the best player that you can be the best, whatever, the best Imperial Agents player that these people have ever seen. Doesn't mean you're going to win, but you can still be good.
Yep. And then a few notes just to kind of like hit guys. Like number one, Warhammer is an expensive hobby. If you are a penny pincher or someone who doesn't have the ability to put aside money for their hobby in like a healthy manner, don't play the game. Find a game that you can play for less money.
Yeah.
Because
Because I mean, unfortunately, it's just the world that we live in. That it is expensive. It is getting more expensive every year. It will continue to get more expensive every year. I used to have analogies that I would use to explain to people why it wasn't actually that expensive compared to other hobbies. They're becoming less accurate,
fair enough.
but still,
But if
yeah,
like
just
if you actively engage in any tabletop hobby, like if you're playing Magic, Magic's probably more expensive if I'm being honest.
if you're playing standard, Magic is wildly more expensive.
Right. Granted, they actually have a market for cards and their value and stuff. So there's ways to recuperate. So that's one thing. If you're a gearhead, excuse me, like Warhammer as a hobby in comparison to cars is dramatically small.
Yes, yeah,
So you hobbies regardless are going to cost you money and you just kind of have to bear that in mind and have a hobby budget if you're going to do it.
yeah. That's it. And yeah, like it's maybe you can't keep up as well as you want, but that doesn't like if you have the ability to have a budget and put money aside, um, then you more than likely will be able to play this game. Your progress will just be slower than other people's. And that is okay because you are doing what you are capable of doing.
Yeah. And
Do
if
not put yourself in debt to play a game.
no. And if you spend enough time with that faction and develop it, you gain that faction expertise, which we've referenced multiple times now. And the better you are at a faction, the more good of a time you're going to have with the game. Because, like, take it from me, I can just walk over to my shelf and be like, "That's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. Let's make a list with these." And I know I can approach the game effectively because I have Space Marine like expertise.
Yep. Yep. And that's where I'm sitting. And like there is still a part of me, and we talked about it I talked about it already about maybe whatever the meta at the moment means that an army needs to sit out for a second, right? That there is still a part of me that is deciding whether or not I take Drakari or I take demons. Because I do consider myself to have a high amount of expertise in both of those armies. And so the answer is which one, if I'm trying to do well, which one does better right now? So
I think you should play Drukhari.
I know. I know.
Just like I should play Wrath of the Rock
Oh man.
until the
That's
edition
fair.
release.
That's fair. That's fair. But my Zinch demon list is hilarious.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Laser Chicken list?
Yeah, well, it's different than what it was. It's wildly different than it was at Storm.
Okay.
And the name, because I like funny list names, the name of the list is quite possibly the best list name I've ever made.
Okay. What is
But that's beside the point.
all right. Well, next week we'll jump into a little bit more about preparing for upcoming events and the stuff that we're doing and any topics that anyone is interested in. Let us know in the comments. Ask us any questions that we could address on here if you're curious.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
With any with any luck, with any luck, we're gonna talk about a data slate.
I I want a data slate so bad. Let's see it happen.
Let's see it. Come on, GW.
If you don't drop a data slate, you're fucking cowards.
No balls. Do it. Anyway.
Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us. We welcome your questions, your suggestions, your comments, and requests. Let other people know about the Yawp. Otherwise, find me
Please.
on TikTok and then, of course, Joey over on Instagram.
Instagram. Yep.
We'll see you next time at the Yawp.
We'll see you around.